The following live broadcast is rated ESV PG. Absolutely any content may be discussed. Hello and welcome to another episode of Ear, Shoulder, Voice. Coming up, we're going to be talking about dealing with negative physical impacts and mental impacts about yourself. The mask mandates, rise in exposures, people closing, opening, and the end of that. Gun laws, possibly the past of life, and the end of some of our favorite TV shows. So we'll see y'all in just a minute. Sound good? Everybody ready over there?
Yo.
Let's do it.
That's what I like to hear. Let's do it.
Love is everywhere. Love is everywhere. Together, always together.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Ear, Shoulder, Voice. My name is Keith Litfin. We're glad to have you here tonight. This is another one of our open forum shows, and I want you to remember the open forum shows are all about you. So we're not just going to talk about what we want to talk about. We want to talk about your interests, what's going on in your life, whether it's something really great or something very sad. If you want somebody to talk about, that's what we're here for. And we're here for you. Don't forget while you're here to like, share, subscribe, and follow to Ear, Shoulder, Voice on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitch, and Twitter. We're on all those. You can call into the show live just by going to earshouldervoice.com. That's not it. There we are. earshouldervoice.com/join. And you can simply call into the show as a guest video or audio panelist. And other than that, this is our open forum show, so let's get going. And we can't have an open forum show if we don't have forum people to talk about it. So here's our panel. Our first panelist tonight, you've seen him before. He's been on every open forum so far. We love having him here. Please welcome Anthony. Anthony, how's your life going?
Oh, today's a little rough, but I'm getting there.
Why is today rough?
Maybe had one or two too many drinks last night. You know.
Well, I mean, that's a common weekend thing. We've talked before. You like going to the bar. Why was last night differently?
A few of us who haven't really gotten together from work colleagues and stuff. Whenever we're together, we drink a little more than normal, and we normally stay up a little later than normal,
Work people can have an effect.
Yes.
So who's the king of the drinking?
I would have to say it's our German colleague.
You have also you're drinking against Germans. That's a little different issue. They can
Yeah,
drink.
It's a completely different game.
They build festivals around that.
Oh yeah.
We just copy other festivals. All our festivals about drinking are copied from other countries. They started that shit. They know how to do it.
Well, and when I was over there, they have a festival for literally anything, so they can just drink. Fish festival, bread festival, whatever. They'll make a festival and party.
Well, yeah, it makes for a good time, I suppose.
Oh yeah.
I can't compete with them. They come over here. I figure I can outdrink pretty much anybody. They come over here. Not a chance.
It's
Not a
even worth
chance.
trying.
Yep, they're pros. All right, I'm going to bring another one of our panelists. Please welcome back the lovely Elena. Elena, how you doing?
Hello, fine.
Hi.
Kind of hungover like Anthony.
Yeah, it must have been a good weekend for everybody, huh?
Yeah.
So what was your celebration this weekend?
I had a friend from back on the east side come out to visit, so we just went to the bar and drank too much.
It's those get-togethers. I've never fully understood it. It happens to me, too, all the time. But, you bring your friends out to visit, and you end up forgetting half the time you're visiting.
Yeah.
It's like, which could be good. I mean, sometimes there's a reason you don't talk to them for a while, but it's hard to catch up when you just don't know what's going on anymore.
Right.
But it makes for a great time usually. So do you have fun meeting up? Are they moving back in the area or?
No, he was just out to visit. It was fun seeing him. I mean, I'm only 2 hours away, so it's not like I never see him or anything, but
Well, that's not too bad. That's not too bad at all. Just
No.
a few hours. That's worth the trip. That might not be worth the trip back though, unless you got a ride. So hopefully you did.
I
right.
live out. He came out here, so yeah.
Oh well, then you're fine. Yeah, get crunk.
That's what I'm saying. I've been at home all day.
Next up tonight, please welcome Sheena in her recliner. Hi, Sheena.
Hello, Keith.
It's been a long time since we've seen you. How are things going?
Better. Things are stabilizing finally.
That's
It's a couple
good.
months.
That's good. Yeah, because you're down in Texas, right?
Yeah.
So it's been a whirlwind of shit going on for you guys.
Oh yeah, and it affected both me and Jay's work, and then that also affected everything financially connected to that. And so we're finally, things are calming down. I got a better job, and the money that stimulus brought in and all that, and paychecks and whatnot is finally settling everything down.
Thank you, Bill. By the way, Bill says I'm blurry. I know I am. I can see the icon that says I have a bad internet connection right now, unfortunately.
Well, fix
So
it.
I am, yeah, right on top of that, Rose. So I was like, doing my best. Hopefully it's going to clear up in a second. It's a little stronger now. I don't know what's going on. It's Comcast. You'll never see me, doing an advertisement for Comcast. So there we go. All right, following our final panelist tonight on this open forum show is Millie. Millie, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. Pretty good.
That's good. Hey, it says my internet connection's better. Hopefully I'm clearing up. Probably not. So what's been going on with you, Millie? I know you're definitely, your life is just busy as hell right now.
Yeah,
I know you're
just
still getting ready for the
preparing
move.
a move. Yeah,
Yeah.
we have a place, so.
Oh, you found one. That's good.
Yep. So we're gonna actually start moving stuff in June.
Oh, nice. So when are you actually planning on leaving and heading over to New York and leaving all of us behind?
Fully, probably the very end of June, 29th, 30th.
You were supposed to correct me saying leaving all of us behind. You're leaving all of us behind. Now I'm sad. All right. Well, no, that's good. It's going to be a good move for you.
Visit, but I'll be back
Okay,
to visit.
that's what I want. You'll still be on the show, too. I mean,
Yeah.
this goes
Yeah. Exactly.
around, especially during COVID. We can't see each other anyway. We'll get there. Hopefully, I keep improving on there. So, what's been going on in everybody's lives? And I want to remind everybody out there before you guys answer that this is an open forum. What we do is we fill in with different chatter and different things on our mind, but we're really here to talk about what's on your mind. So don't be afraid to send us a message in the chat. Any topic you want, no matter how dark, how deep, how lighthearted, how funny, we'll talk about it with you. Bill's famous for the deep and funny at the same time. So we'll talk about it. So what's going on in everybody's life? Anything exciting happening?
Dealing with the lifting of the mask mandate in Texas has been interesting.
That's weird. Yeah, because Texas
Very
decided to
interesting.
completely remove that mask mandate, didn't they?
Yeah, and they put it in the hands of individual companies and counties, and yeah.
And people. And I don't think they always
And
understand.
people.
Well, people are stupid. By definition, as a whole,
Yeah.
we are stupid. Kind of. So how does it work down there, though?
We are.
Because you're constantly going between different states, and some states, they hate it because they're required to, and other states hate it because it's not mandated, and vice versa. They love it because it's mandated, or they love it because it's not mandated, or they love it because it's required to. So what's the general consensus down there?
It's literally split 50-50. It all depends on the person, really. The person, the business, and who cares, who doesn't, who takes it, seriously, and who thinks it's whatever. It's interesting to see how individual people are handling it, and businesses.
Anthony's
definitely.
black orb is
But
back.
I think people, the way people are doing it is a whole nother story. Because businesses, you go in there and everyone has to wear it, but the people, individuals, when they're outside, and you got to take care of yourself.
So the
It's a different
businesses
story.
are still following pretty much a mandated rule, even though it's not mandated by the state. Is what you're saying. Some are. Do you think
Some.
for the people that
And
aren't
they'll
in
like
Texas?
Home Depot, they'll have a sign. They'll actually have a sign outside the door, or
Thank
just
you,
before
Rachel.
you
Good to
enter,
see you.
whether there's a mask required or not. And even if there's not a mask required in the store, you still go in there and see people wearing masks. And if you're not wearing a mask, someone's going to be mean mugging.
So everybody out there, including our panel right now, how do you feel about the mandate right now? Do you think it should be completely lifted and left up to individuals, or do you think it should be the other way? Mind you, we don't want to hear any political, partisan thoughts on this. Just as a person, how do you feel about it? So I'll start with our panel. Anthony, do you think it should be mandated, or do you think it's better not to be left up to the individual?
I think, I don't agree with the mandate. I don't like when, and not to get political, but I don't like when the government says, you guys have to do this.
Oh, I understand. It can't be.
And that's the part of it that I don't like, right? To
Again,
mandate-
politically, it can't be partisan political,
Yeah.
like just blaming one side or another for
Yeah,
it.
I just don't like the government saying you have to do this, right? Businesses should be allowed to require masks I have no problem with that. I have no
Yes.
problem with employers requiring masks.
Would you stop going to a business if it was not mandated and the business required the mask?
No. I'd wear a mask in a business without the mandate. For me,
What
it
about
wouldn't
you,
matter.
Millie? You were going to say something?
No, I was just listening.
Okay.
No. I don't.
How do you-
I have a different take, but
Oh, well,
you
what's
know
your take on that? No, that's why we have you on here.
do agree with mask mandates until we can get enough, I think, people vaccinated. I feel
Now-
like to keep numbers low, because it's just too much. Like, sorry, I don't know how to explain this how I want to say it. But just I feel like so many people have died, and even aside from dying, there's so many people. Like, I know so many people personally who've gotten it because they did go out and about, maybe not always wearing a mask, and then they got COVID, and now they're dealing with all these symptoms. They're lingering for months and months and months. And I'm like,
Right.
that's what my issue is, especially with that. And it's like, now we're going to have more burden on our healthcare system.
From
with
a
all of
business
that.
aspect,
I feel like,
I want to say from a business aspect, I think the mandate is kind of hurting people, honestly. And I actually agree with the mandate in a sense. I do think it's important to get it out there. But one thing Anthony just said, he's like, if there wasn't a mandate, but the place required a mandate, I would probably still go to that business. But a lot of people with the mandate who are for it, if the place does not follow the mandate, they do not go to that business. Now, I mean, it's the
Yeah.
choice of the business whether it hurts them or not. But ultimately, sometimes that can be it because you're going to have
feel
people
like-
who are just against it to be against it
yeah, I know.
without any science or reasoning behind them.
For me too, like the other thing with it is that if a business, if it's required that the businesses, when you go indoors, that everyone wear a mask, the business, it's easier for them to enforce it. I feel like I know in some areas
Yeah.
where it's not a mandate for the area. If a business wants to have everyone in their employees and every other customers wear a mask, like it's harder for them to enforce it.
I agree. What do you think, Elena?
I agree with Millie. The only way that we're ever gonna go back to normal is if people wear masks and get vaccinated. So I'm down to wear a mask and get vaccinated.
I mean,
so
I do
can go
believe-
to a concert again.
And the world
Yeah.
is split in a 50-50 level, and based on the 4 people I'm talking to right here, we're equally split again. And I'm always the middle guy because there's certain aspects I see that are good and certain aspects that are bad. Rachel also believes it should be left to an individual at that point. There is one thing I think that really will help without having a mandate when it comes to businesses. There's a lot of businesses you go right now, and wherever they say it's required to wear a mask or anything, big bold letters because our governor hates you or something along those lines. And they're striking up more partisanship in the world.
Yeah.
And they would not have that capability if it was left up to the business. They're using it, even if they agree with it, to try to play both sides, I think. They might have it if it wasn't
There's
mandated.
a business here. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a barbecue joint, and they put on the door why that the mask is required in the store, and the owner of the company actually wrote this. He said mask is required, and they said like $50 if you have to explain it to you, $75 if I have to explain it to you, or something like that. I'm like, is that real? And that's just crazy. And I'm like, okay, you just gotta. I still think it's like Anthony was saying. I lifting the mandate and saying that it's up to the people and the companies. I'm for that, because that gives because free will, that gives me the ability to choose where I want to go if I want to buy something online from that store. If I don't want to go to that store because I don't like the
Yeah, but
mandate.
free will's overrated.
So are you.
I think my concern's more from a
Ouch,
public
bitch.
health point of view.
Okay.
I feel like, yeah, it's great to have free will and stuff, but there also comes a point where you have to consider public health overall. And the U.S. is not,
Agreed.
I don't think, at a point where we could, take it lightly.
I don't go out enough to really expose myself. I'm a homebody, so if I have to go out, it's.
But there's people
I try
with
to make
with
sure
certain
that.
jobs they have to, so we're putting them
Well,
at
like
risk.
I work in the healthcare system, so I'm always at the possibility of getting it. So I do wear precautions there, and I do take safety precautions when
Well,
I'm out and about.
let me ask you something, Sheena,
Yeah.
about that, because you work in the healthcare. Do you ever have people coming in, and do you ever think in the back of your head if there was a mandate, you would not be sick? Have you seen anybody who has died from it or anything like that that you thought in the back of your head, this life did not have to end?
I've seen a few people that have died from it, or at least they had it when they died. I'll put it that way. I'm not sure if that was the cause of death or not.
Understandable, but I mean, it has been the cause of death for some people. So
Yeah, and uh, maybe if the mandate had been put in uh, differently, or people had been more aware of how to handle it, not necessarily such a strong mandate, like mandatory, if it had been the way that it is now, but they also educate you on how serious the whole thing is, then the
okay.
precautions were there, but the mandate was how it is now, then there are a lot of people, a lot of lives probably could have been saved.
Okay, I one of the things, I got in an argument actually with one of the bars I work at, and it was a friendly, debatable argument. It wasn't like we were actually fighting. And people who work there, unfortunately, have contracted COVID. And the argument isn't that they contracted, but the way I see it, because I'm not one-sided or the other in my place, but the people there are mostly. That's just businesses right now. And I said, my big thing is not to do with the sides, but if, God forbid, something happened to one of these people, and I knew by our bar shutting down or us being a little more cautious that we could have prevented that loss of life, I would blame myself. I would halfway think, like, I could have chosen not to come to work because I know I'm part of the problem. Even though if
Well,
I
that's
didn't
why I take
cause it.
precautions. That's
Well,
why I
some of
wear
the
my mask
businesses
and all
don't,
that.
especially bars and restaurants. They have a hard time taking those precautions right now because, admittedly, by the same token, they need money to survive. They need to open. They need to keep their business. Too many businesses have closed as well, probably because it's taken so long. I just hope people can see that we're on the tail end of this. Regardless, try to do your best because we are on the tail end of it, one way or another. I don't know if everybody believes that on here. Anthony, you seem to be questioning that.
I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut on this one.
No, I want you to talk, please. Please do.
I think we are at the tail end, but the thing that really frustrates me with all of this is the data that is picked out, and oh, this works, this doesn't work, all of these numbers, and then you hear people saying, well, if you were given 4 days to live from terminal cancer and you had COVID when you died, that's a COVID death, right?
Okay,
And so
I remember
granted.
hearing about that.
So, I'm not trying to say COVID isn't a big deal, right? Because I do understand that it is a serious thing, but it serves a disservice to openly say, so some of these, even if you didn't die because of COVID, if you had it at time of death, they're counting that as a COVID death, right?
Okay, but
So
we're not
that
talking about
polarizes-
numbers. We're talking about loss of life, period,
But
from COVID. And you can't defend the loss of life by the fact that this one was not the case.
well, and
Because
I'm
there's
not-
still many that are.
and I'm not trying to say that I disagree, but it polarizes people, right? Because
Oh,
you
I
are gonna
agree. The
have those
polarization
people
of-
that say,
That's the
oh,
worst
so
problem.
because there's 2 or 3 instances of this, it's all screwed, right? It's all messed up. And then you have the other people that say, okay, well, it's a possibility, but people are still dying from this.
Gotcha.
It's still a legitimate thing that is killing people, but because you have, discrepancies, you're allowing people to become more polarized, and because you're
Well, also because you're bringing them up, and the problem is 100 people die from the actual COVID, let's say.
yeah,
One person that was your cancer situation there. They had cancer anyway, they were dying, but they had COVID, so they blamed them. So you're dismissing 99 people in your argument because that one person, and everybody who's listening to that argument goes, well, yeah, then all the numbers must be made up. And you're right,
Exactly.
that's what's polarizing people on there. And that's why I don't like the arguments, because the numbers aren't right. Of course the numbers aren't right. No
They're never going to be.
number is right for anything out there. Most of them are
Yeah,
guesstimations.
you can see though, like you can make comparisons of how many more deaths are there than there normally are. Like
Right.
looking at, and they have looked at that, and there are more deaths. So you know there's deaths due to COVID.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
the one
for sure.
factor that.
Yeah,
you
and I'm
know.
not trying to argue that there aren't, right? I'm just saying that
Yeah.
it is a point that gets made. I work with a bunch of guys who are on the, COVID's a false thing. It doesn't exist. It's just,
And
So I hear that every day, and
Yeah,
I have to tell them, come on, guys, let's be a little smarter.
and
than
Bill
that.
Bill here is also right. If the virus keeps
Yeah.
mutating, we don't know what we'll be facing next on there.
yeah.
Draina's
Yeah,
here.
that's why. I want to add something with that, with what Bill is saying. That's the
ahead.
thing.
I'll be right back
Trying
with
to
you, Draina.
really want to try to get the because we need enough. Like I think it's like 70% or something like that of the population to have the vaccine to get herd immunity, because it lessens the ability for the virus to mutate to something that the vaccine won't be able to counteract.
Absolutely.
type of thing.
But
Yeah.
Sheena, you're in the medical field. Before I get to Draina's response to that, you're in the medical field. Has the mutation, because the virus is already mutated a couple times from what people are saying.
Yep.
Has your treatment or the condition of people changed, Sheena, in the medical field because of the mutation, or is it pretty much the same process you're going through? Survival rate's about the same.
It's the same process. They don't, due to how many symptoms there are or there have been talk of, because there's always something new coming up. I've asked my Adon and my Don, I'm like, so are we changing any of the anything as far as taking care of them? They said, well, because we don't know 100% the symptoms or how long it'll last or a bunch of other things, we pretty much have to stay with strict CDC guidelines, and if they change it, then we change it. But
gotcha.
for the most part, it's the same. It's
Been the same
PPE,
procedure.
it's-
It's
Yeah.
just the way it could be transmitted is pretty much the mutation aspect, I think.
and that's
the way
why
it
we have
spreads.
our splash guards on, we have our masks, our plastic gowns.
I hope I'm saying this right as Adrena or Drina, but human error is correct. That's what we're talking about, the numbers. The numbers you hear a lot of times are not accurate for anything you're looking up, because human error is one of them, and there's mistakes. Literally, my mom's death certificate long before COVID had the wrong list of death or cause of death on it. Not for some political
There's a small
agenda.
percentage that happens.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah.
With human error.
Andrina says no number surrounding death is accurate, and that's extremely true even during COVID. And so you can't always play that numbers game. And of course, certain places are going to inflate numbers or deflate numbers to sell products, information, or anything like that, or try to get you sided one direction or another. So playing the numbers game should never beat playing the logic game and the intelligence and the research game. Danny's here. She says, howdy. Howdy, Danny. Always good to see you. All right, so let's move on a little bit from the COVID thing. We can hit it back if anybody's got something else to add. Please do.
Really
We'll-
quick,
go ahead.
I just wanted to say, like, about masks. If it's mandated or not, if I walked into a room where there were 20,000 people in there and someone told me, hey, if you put on this mask, one person won't die, I'd put on the damn mask.
Honestly,
You know what I
that
mean?
100%, yeah.
that is
Yeah.
the way I
There's-
actually view it.
And there's so many people out there that are saying, like, well, it's only a 2% death rate. That's a lot of people.
2% of our population is not a tiny number.
No.
Yeah.
I was like, or the world population at that. Like,
Right.
2% death rate is a high death rate for natural viruses.
Right.
Well, if you want to go non-natural, whatever, but that's not the argument on this. But for a basic virus, 2% is a pretty high death rate
Yeah.
to have. And go on along with a little more. Gabe's here. He says there are 1,000 medical commercials with rare side effect warnings. Millions take those drugs. So far, there are just a few cases regarding the vaccine. Unfortunately, COVID itself is politicized, so people are making decisions over that instead of the virus itself. And hi, guys. Hi,
Yeah.
Gabe. How you doing? And
Totally agree with that for sure.
yeah, it was used, I think when it was initially used for political reasons, people did not know how bad it was truly going to be. So let's use this in a few months. By the time the election rolls around, we'll be good because COVID will be gone, but we saved you, or we didn't, or they saved you, or they didn't. Either way, we can use it. Then it got bad, but the problem was you already split people off.
Yeah.
Hitting on that with one more thing, I don't understand people How do you explain logic changes with people's minds? And I'm going to use COVID for an example because people go, it doesn't exist. It's fake. It's made up. There's hardly any deaths. Nobody dies. There's no deaths with COVID. It's a lie. Okay, people do die, but they die
I
because
logic to someone who did.
well, the
Yeah,
same
I had
person
people that
keeps
said
doing
all
these
that
arguments.
stuff to me.
Yeah. And then after they don't die, and then it's proven they do. Well, yeah, they do, but it's a small ratio that dies, and they're mostly just lying about what causes the death. It's not really COVID; it doesn't kill you. Then later, okay, it does kill you, but it's still a small percentage number, so it's not a big deal. And it just keeps changing and changing the same person's argument. What makes a person change their argument so continuously? At what point do you look back and go, wow, what I was arguing was wrong previously. Maybe I should kind of stick to the science or the other side or something like that. I
For
mean,
lack of a better way to say this, social media really does kind of affect a huge amount of how we think about something, especially when you have friends and or family that are on both sides of the fence.
it's huge.
Yep.
Social media is big. And the sad thing is what's happening with social media is people are splitting up. People
And
are on
people
one.
are
They're getting
spreading
rid of the
false
people,
information.
and they're getting
Yeah,
rid of the
false
people that
information
argue
on
with them.
things all the time.
And
I
there
try to
are
tell
friends
people
that
don't believe everything they see and read and hear. You need to look at who's an expert in that field. Those are the types of people you listen to, not Joe Schmo on the street that doesn't know anything about it.
Well, I saw something
Oh.
not that
There's-
long ago that was like, hey, if you took your car to the
LOL,
mechanic
Bill.
and the mechanic said, like, your car needs new brakes, you'd say, okay, I'll get new brakes. If you, like, in any other field, you'd just say, okay, you're the expert. But now
Yeah.
doctors are saying this vaccine is effective, and people are like, nope, not doing it.
Because it's a political thing. I understand the fear of a vaccine, though.
Doctors on both sides of it, right?
There is, I agree with you, Anthony. There
So,
are actually
and
doctors that
doesn't
say,
help either, because which doctor are you going to trust?
Well,
Right?
I
This
always
doctor
trust.
that says no, or
Usually
this one
for
that says
me,
yes.
I
got to look at too, because sometimes you got to look at the experience of the doctor and their track record, because that definitely makes a difference. I think because
true.
just someone is a doctor doesn't mean they're a good doctor. So you
And
have
what
to
they're a
really look
doctor
at
in,
what's
too.
their
and what they
background.
specialize.
Yeah.
What do they
And what
specialize
they
in? 'Cause if-
specialize in.
if they're talking about something that's not their specialty, they're a totally different specialty. They're not actually the expert to listen to.
Yeah,
know,
well, Drana says
like-
yes, but what makes an expert an expert? I'm gonna say there was during Trump when he started his presidency, somebody posted something on Facebook and said if Trump cured cancer, you would still hate him. And my response to him was, it was a general thing. He wasn't talking to me, but my response to that post was no. Trump would be an absolutely great scientist, and thank you for curing cancer. But this is not about curing cancer.
That doesn't make you a good president.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
using that for an example, not to be political on that front. I just
No, I know.
what somebody can do does not make them good for every field.
Yeah.
Okay, turn your toys off, Sheena.
Here's my alarm, idiot. Damn, I told you I put an alarm.
Yeah, you're a little late. We're already here.
Hey,
But
I'm
that's
an hour
true.
difference. Thank you very much.
And here's the contrary thing with this, where you're saying that social media is an issue, and social media is responsible for a lot of this. That's true. But you had to take people's words for it before the rise of the internet and social media and everything. With the rise of the internet, with actual facts to research out there, you don't. Step away from everything that's cited and actually look up things by the number. But never look for what you're looking for. If you're looking for how many deaths does COVID cause, search for how many deaths. Don't search, is COVID real? Because you'll find results based on whatever you
Yeah.
search for. So make it general.
Your search results will go. I mean, that you can, and I know exactly what you're talking about. You can look up something to read about facts and fiction about
Yeah.
whatever topic, and depending on what you're looking for, you'll either
How
find
you word it.
supporting facts.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can find facts to support any argument if you're looking in the right way, and you can find facts to on the other side of it if you're looking for
That's why
those.
it's better to look at the actual studies and then make interpretations
That's
based
what
on that.
has
And
to,
if you
people
don't,
have to do,
and
but
if you
people
don't
aren't doing
have the
that.
medical knowledge, however, if you don't have the medical knowledge or scientific knowledge to understand that particular study, then you go to someone you trust who does have that knowledge who can interpret it for you.
Or you
'Cause I
go
know
down
not
a
every,
rabbit
trust me,
hole.
I read studies all the time, and for people who don't have a science or medical background, it can be really difficult to understand what the heck they're saying.
But choose education over entertainment in a way.
Yeah.
When you watch a YouTube video, you go down a rabbit hole sometimes of YouTube videos. And you see
Yeah.
and you're spending hours doing that. Well, it wouldn't be bad if that rabbit hole took you down education's path. And you didn't understand something, you said, well, let me find out about this and let me learn. And be educated in your argument. I guarantee you will not 100% agree with your side if you're educated. I don't care which side you're for. If you're educated, you will not agree 100% with either one of them. But if you listen to them, then you are very misinformed either side. Because they all have agendas. No matter what. That's what politics is. And when you put that above anything else, it's not good. Gabe says we are at the point in history where empathy is reflective of self-experience, not about understanding and care of the human race. Unfortunately, oh God, that's actually sad but true. We really are. And
Yeah, if
It's-
you don't go through it, then the person you can't. It's ridiculous. I mean, I can't do that because of how I work. I have to go into every scenario with my heart on my sleeve, no matter what, and
Yeah.
that's hard. But taking care of a situation based purely on what you know. I mean, some people can't help it, and then some people just that's how they handle it. But me as a CNA, I have to go into every situation with my heart in my hand, not knowing what I'm going to walk into. So I can't go off of self-experience.
Well, empathy is important and understanding, but learning from it too, and that's sometimes what we do is we fail
Yeah.
to learn really from it. Drina, another thing she says that I agree with: so many people, she's referring to the experts, get replaced. It's hard to determine who is the better expert, who is not. But I will tell you this: if somebody tells you something, and they are fired for telling you that,
Then you
look
know
up
something's
the
up.
facts, because somewhere there is someone spreading misinformation. So look up the facts on that. If an expert is, somebody's hiding something, basically. I don't care which side it is. If you're fired because you said something publicly that should have been backed by science, regardless of your side, look it up. Don't just say they fired because, oh, they were trying to, spread the truth and they silenced them, or they're trying to spread lies and they silenced them. Look it up. Find out details. Gabe's, I also agree with America, at least. Danny likes your buzz there, Sheena. Bill says never look up a blue waffle. Surprisingly,
That's my alarm.
okay, I gotta
That's
tell
my
you, Bill.
alarm.
That's funny actually, because we had I do trivia, and one time we had the sex was the
Oh
theme and
God,
stuff.
never looked that up.
And you know what? It's hard to find now. When you actually type up blue waffle, you get a lot of actual breakfast waffles that are blue. It is so hard to find that
Good,
disgusting
good,
picture anymore.
good.
No, because it's no fun for everybody. Everybody's like, I looked up blue waffle. It's just a bunch of blue waffles. Keep going. By the way, don't look up blue waffle. Danny says she watched a documentary about the internet and social media, and in fact, we are living somewhat Truman Show. We are also giving false information daily, and it creates confrontation and confusion. And that is true. And
Yep.
let's face
That
it,
is really true.
regardless of the past administrations, we are kind of living in a reality show, and that goes to reflect the media and everything. It's all about ratings and popularity and what you can do on there. I know
Yeah.
Anthony has something to say about that.
No,
Nothing at all, Anthony?
I've got nothing to say.
Either he has nothing or he doesn't want to open his mouth.
Well, you should, because it's good to get perspective from all sides. The worst thing people can ever do is assume another side's wrong and their opinion doesn't matter.
Right.
Because it helps to
You know
learn
what
from other
sucks
people.
about that is that even when you when you hear facts from someone that you don't like, and then you hear facts about the same thing about someone that you do like, it sucks when you look up the information for yourself, educate yourself, and you find out that the person that you don't usually like is right.
Is actually the right one.
Because
you dismissed them based on personal.
I'm educating myself.
And kind of, I think we're all kind of guilty of that to a point. I think there's sometimes when people come out with an argument and we're so sick of different things they've said or done that we're just like, whatever, and don't take the time to always look into it.
Yeah, it really sucks because it's like just bites you in the ass.
Yeah, Drana says it is saying people wouldn't understand an excuse to not explain but control through fear. Just asking. but it's saying people wouldn't understand. Oh, gotcha. So it's saying that people wouldn't understand what's going on. Excuse not to explain it. And Anthony,
can
that's my
be.
thing. Or is it control through fear? That's a great question. How do you figure it can be, Sheena?
Let me read that again.
It's saying that people wouldn't understand what you're
It's
talking
kind of
about.
like a scapegoat.
Yeah.
It could be used as a scapegoat or something to ward you off.
Yeah, it could be,
Uh,
or sometimes I know some people, they just get frustrated trying to explain things over and over again to somebody who isn't actually really listening. So you don't want
Yeah,
to
or
explain
they just
They're
close
fed
their
up.
mind off because they don't want to hear what you said. They're like, no, I'm not interested.
So, because I know that's
you're not
happened. Like,
saying what I
Uh,
want.
She went a
people.
little further here. So saying you have to be in the medical field to understand means you couldn't help or explain it to your clients or patients. I get what she's saying by that, especially right there. If you
know how to
it's like a
explain it,
doctor
it can
coming
be
back to
explained
you
to
and
anybody.
saying, yeah, but it's like a doctor coming, I believe what she's saying, it's like a doctor coming up to you and say, well, the simple term is this, because you wouldn't really understand the definition, the
Well,
explanation. It's not worth it to explain it to you.
Well, I think
I
what
think
Millie
a good
said
doctor
was if
will
you don't.
try to explain, but it can be difficult to explain to someone who has no scientific medical knowledge at all. Because there's some people who really don't, like they don't. I've met people who
Yeah.
Well, and
that
what
they
Millie
just
said
don't get it.
earlier, if you don't understand those like case studies or whatever, she said ask someone who does and have them explain it to you. Someone that
Yeah,
you
you have
trust
to have
that
a
does
good
understand that
teacher,
terminology.
a good
True.
yeah. Because because not every doctor, unfortunately, is good at explaining it.
Right.
Explaining things. They're not all good teachers.
And they'll literally have they have the worst bedside manners. They'll just be like, well, I
I'm gonna go back
Yeah.
to
can't
Drina.
explain it right now, and then you'll leave the room.
But there are those who
This is
are
true.
good at it.
Actually, Drina just hit on an awesome point. I really hope I'm pronouncing your name right. It's either Drina or Drina, and I feel bad that I'm saying it repeatedly because I'm not sure. But she brought up an awesome point, is that there are major differences between parties, and no matter who is elected, we seem to live in fear. One side lives in fear.
It's the
I
easiest
mean-
way to control people.
It is. But we choose that fear. That's the one thing people forget. We choose that fear instead of education. You know, the people taking gun law, Elena, you were going to bring up gun laws, actually. So, and actually, I'm going to steer it a little bit that direction to the gun laws. People said that if a Democrat was elected, they're going to take all your guns away. They have said that every Democrat that's been elected in my lifetime, every one of them,
Yeah.
it still hasn't happened. People said if a Republican's in office, no immigrants are ever coming through again. We're closing up, and all this shit's going to happen. They're going to start a war. It's going to be bullshit. And it didn't happen. Well, Bush, but it didn't generally happen. There's been times. There's been times it's happened, but I mean, we've gone through so many, it didn't happen. We spent 4 to 8 years living in fear of something that isn't even on the table. You argue with your friends, you dislike your friends based on that fear. And Elena, you had an argument recently with somebody. You were talking about gun laws. So what was the argument?
We were just talking about how there's obviously an issue in our country where people are dying because people are shooting people
Right.
for no reason, walking into a grocery store and shooting
With
people.
the
walking
hate
into a
thing and
school.
the Asian hate's rising now, I guess is
Yeah.
the newest thing. So they're back in spotlight.
Right.
Gun laws.
And what I was saying in this argument is it should be just as hard to buy a gun as it is to get a driver's license. It should be a similar process.
They're both. I work in a bar. They're both weapons of mass assault. So
Exactly.
I agree with that. They
Like,
both can be.
I don't know anything about guns, but I'm 24 and I don't have a record. I could walk into a Dunham's and have a gun in a day or two, and I feel like that's a problem.
That is a problem.
That is an issue.
I want to bring up a point with this. I think one of the biggest problems is we have lobbyists in our country,
Oh God,
Um,
the lobbyists.
and so
Oh God.
and I'm not like anti-gun at all. But because I think yeah, it is. Sure, you can have a gun if you know what you're doing with it.
That's how I
You
feel
know,
too.
But the thing is that we can't even put any money into research for the federal government on gun violence whatsoever. So, and I think that's a problem, and that's mainly due to lobbyists. I think we
My-
need
my-
to research and see not just mass shooters, but also things like suicide and other domestic violence. We need to be putting money into that to try to figure and research to try to figure out what are really things that could actually help us curb these issues. And we're not studying it except for private enterprises because they're not allowed to put the money at the federal government when it comes to gun violence.
Only quickly going back to one thing because I want to bring Bill's comment up, and then I want to comment on the gun law thing. Bill says, related to the virus, everybody watch Outbreak after the podcast. Regardless of the virus, that's a great fucking movie. So if you get a chance, watch Outbreak. It's an awesome movie. It really is. So I just wanted to point that out. It is
I
Drina,
haven't
by the way.
watched the whole
Drina,
thing.
thank you. I feel better now. Okay. Drina, about the gun laws when you're talking, my only issue is you are selling a product that has no other intent referring to assault than mass death. There's no other purpose for this product. So why is it wrong to have extra screening and precautions in selling these items? And I agree with you, just like driving a car. Anthony, please say
The only-
something. I look
He's
for
like
your
seriously
argument.
quiet and like floating.
Because
ahead
Anthony
of him there.
disagrees.
He does, but I want to know why,
The
because
eyebrow
it's
raise.
good to
We're gonna
counter.
open this can of worms, and
We are.
We're gonna have some fun here.
I love pissing Anthony off.
So, we have a Second Amendment in our Constitution
Right.
that says the right to bear arms shall not be infringed.
Correct.
Right? So, that is a very fine line. The government getting involved at any point is a fine line with gun control. Because the whole point of the Second Amendment is to defend against a tyrannical government. Right? That is the point.
Partly.
Right?
Part-
For
yeah,
the people,
there's
the
a
right
debate
to
over
the
that.
people.
It's foreign invaders during the time it was
Yeah.
written, and it referred to the British and the Revolution.
That was the tyrannical
But it also does
government
state
that we
tyrannical
just freed
government.
ourselves from.
Right.
Right?
It
we
also
were
does
under their
state that.
control. So, and I'm not saying, oh, everyone should be able to go buy a bazooka, right? Because technically, under the Second Amendment, I could go buy a tank. Would that be awesome? Yeah, but I don't need a tank.
Well, that's a limitation, because I don't think people are against, like, all guns. If you want to own a handgun, that's fine. If you want to
I
own a
don't think you
shotgun,
need
that's
anything
fine.
other than a handgun and a hunting rifle.
Right. I don't think there's any problem with that at all.
So you guys have an issue with the AR-15s?
I have an issue
that the
in
big
anybody
thing?
being able to buy a product with the sole intent of killing another human being or
Well, of
multiple.
course, but you can.
My-
a pistol,
my
you
issue
can
is-
have just as many bullets in it, or close to, depending on the pistol.
You can, but there's other uses for a pistol.
There's
My
other
issue
uses.
is
People
a
use
little
they
different.
just enjoy targeting. They just enjoy shooting it. There's other reasons they can use a gun, or
Personal
they like having personal protection. There's other reasons behind that. But when you buy some of the assault weapons or create them, there's no other point for that. You're not doing that so you can go shoot cans in your backyard.
Define assault weapon for me, though.
Anything
Any
that's
weapon-
automatic or semi-automatic.
Correct.
So a
Designed
pistol is
to
an
kill.
assault weapon.
What is
a
it?
pistol
Can be.
is a pistol
Yes, it
is
can
an
be.
assault weapon. So you're talking pistols the same boat as an AR-15, because it's not an assault rifle,
No, because what
That's
other
an
fit? What?
Armalite
Okay. Well,
right? That's what
by your
AR
same
stands for.
argument, what are the other uses for the AR-15?
People can hunt with them. Well, not
They
the 15,
can.
they?
What?
Do
The
they?
seriously though.
I'm just saying, not the
What are you hunting
AR-15
with an
because that's too
AR-15?
small of a caliber round, right? Because it's a .223, so it's essentially a .22 with an extra bang behind it.
But you said can, which means most people don't.
The
So what is the
AR-10s
purpose?
is the larger round version of those rifles you can hunt with.
You can, but people don't. That's not the purpose of most people that buy them.
Target
Whereas a
shooting for
pistol,
fun.
people buy them for these other purposes. It's not about losing gun. People have the right to own a gun if they want one. We have the right to a lot, but you don't have the right to own something that directly infringes on the life of other people with the intended purpose of that.
But with that argument too, you're saying it's fine to buy a pistol because you can buy it for many reasons, but you have
Well said,
an
Bill.
issue with the AR-15s, I'm assuming, because it's purchased solely to harm people. But a pistol can be purchased solely to harm people as well.
But as
And that's what
Danny
I'm saying.
says, you can use a pistol to whip somebody. I want to
Can
bring
I?
up
Can I,
actually.
I wanted to bring up something too.
Yeah, go
on
ahead,
this,
go
but
ahead,
it's a
and I'll
little
get to
bit different. My issue isn't really what you guys are talking about. My issue is with it is I have difficulty with certain people being able to get guns so easily.
that's
I have
kind
a
of the
problem
issue.
with
That's
people who have, and part of that is some laws already on the books aren't enforced. Other states need better laws to address this because it's not universal across the United States how the laws are written, and that's a problem I
right.
feel.
It's a
And
huge
I
problem.
think like people who've been convicted of domestic violence, they should not be able to have a gun. I'm sorry, because what ends up
And that's
happening is they
yeah.
go and they kill
If
their
you have a
partner.
record,
I'll tell you right now, I shouldn't own a gun if I'm working at a bar. I
You
should not
know,
have a gun on me.
somebody
well, you
Honestly.
somebody
can't run in a
who
bar.
and
If
somebody
you're
someone who is mentally ill, has been flagged as mentally ill in some way, shouldn't either. But then there's a problem with, well, not everybody's been flagged, and here's the part of the problem. I think we have a problem in our country with not addressing mental illness and getting
Bingo.
help to people.
Exactly.
And it's a huge
Yeah.
problem
True.
that's been for a long time, because people who should be, I mean, like with was it the guy, the Colorado one,
Yeah.
Boulder?
Yeah.
His family knew. The FBI had even knew that he had some mental issues. This is a guy, but he wasn't getting treatment, and look what ended up happening.
And here's
Okay.
I think part of it that I'm going to kind of agree with you, Millie, is the route people are taking, which is right. Do you eliminate the guns and then figure out how to get them into people's hands safely, or you just let them keep going into their hands until you figure out the mental illness part?
Yeah, I think personally, I think there needs to be a multi-pronged approach with things. I think I wouldn't mind if, I know some people might think that this is being an infringement on their right, but I don't feel it does. I think anyone who's going to have a gun needs to have taken some kind of safety class, and
I
know
believe
what the
that's
heck they're
important.
doing with it, because that's a problem too.
Most people wouldn't have a problem with that either.
Like-
if they said, okay, if you
I
want
wanna point out
There's things
something.
we can do.
It
I wanna-
needs to be a longer process.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, definitely it shouldn't be a 2 or 3 day waiting period. That's for sure.
Yeah.
If you can't wait that long or longer to shoot a gun, then you've got an intent that
Then
we should probably
something's
worry
wrong.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
should take like a month.
Yeah, enough to do proper background checks and stuff like that.
No,
But I
you
want to
have
point
go
out something
through
really quick.
Driver's training to get your license, during high school.
The
Yeah,
five
you
of
have
us,
to take a month-long training period to own a gun.
the 5 of us on here, and most people in the chat right now, all have kind of different opinions on this situation. Obviously, for different reasons. Some kind of align, some don't. But we all pretty much want the same thing, yet we're constantly debating and fighting over it and arguing over it. We all want there to be a better way to get them.
That's
We
why I
all-
think there needs to be more research on what actually will work.
And I
Because
want
that's
to
a
bring
problem.
back,
There's not enough.
yeah, and I'm going to bring back
What
Bill's
can
comment
we
here.
do? More discussion on it. What can we actually do instead of saying so opposite, oh, this needs to be done this way, this needs to be done this way. Well, let's talk about what are the different options that could be done, and explain your position on why they could be done. Like, people don't listen to each other, I think. It's
I'm
part
going to
of the
bring,
problem.
yeah, I'm going to bring up the Constitution really quick because I want to hit on Bill's comment while we were talking firearms. And the main reason any of us are here: provision of food and self-safety. Back in the time when the Constitution was written, it was pretty much standard. Everybody did own a gun. They were used for hunting. They were used for protection because it was a different world. And we're one of the only countries in the world that says we're not changing the Constitution because we can re-manipulate its interpretation. We can change it to suit our needs. Every other country in the world updates it with the times. We don't. We say there's the right to bear arms, so we're never changing it because we can find another way to interpret that. It needs updating. And you can't say you can't change this Constitution because what do you think amendments are? They're changes to the Constitution. It's happened before, and then we quit because we want to constantly interpret it.
You
and
just
use it
have
as
to
an
have a
argument
large
against us.
enough. You just have to have a large enough majority that agrees on what to do to change it.
Right. Danny says, by the way, with
and
people
that's
with mental
only going to
health.
happen if we actually research things, that we actually discuss things, and listen to each other.
Which is what we're here for.
I think.
Danny says, with the mental illness, one of the problems we have too right now, when they address mental illness, they slap some pills and send you on your way.
Yeah.
Doesn't cure anything and sometimes can make matters way worse. So it is something to be addressed, but you have to start somewhere. And if you constantly fight each side, you're never going to advance. We're going to have more
Yeah.
shootings and more shit like that happening. Drina says, my problem, so many have mental issues and violent pasts that shouldn't own a firearm. They slip through the cracks, and I've seen it. And that's what happens with most of these people, these mass shootings you're seeing. They are literally slipping through the cracks. They're finding a way. The most recent shooting, where was it? But he got his firearm completely legally. Went through all the steps to do it. There's not enough vetting,
All
and
2
I
days
do
of
believe,
steps.
And in this case, I do believe that what you post on social media should kind of be watched, but not by necessarily federal agencies or anything, but by you, by the people. If you see signs like this, you have to let people know. You have to, even the parents. Now, like you said, the parents knew on the last
Yeah.
one in Boulder, but there's some that would definitely change it if they knew their child was in danger. Or they would do something to try to find an outlet, because there is a way to work with some people. Yes, Sheena.
I think,
When you said
oh,
that,
go ahead.
it reminded me of how the last several years, how if you see something, say something, and then those school shootings happened a few years ago or something like that, and people, the kids that were in the school, they said, yeah, we saw the signs, but then we got to be too afraid to say anything because we thought something bad was going to happen, and that's because we finally had it to where the message was getting across. If you see some behavior, whether the kid's being bullied or not, say something. And it started working, but then somehow I can't remember what happened, but we got so scared to actually speak up about it, and then the school shootings happened. And the kids said, we actually,
Yeah.
we saw this coming, but we were too afraid to say something to somebody because
You know
we
what?
thought that something would happen to us.
Now, in hindsight, people can do that, and they say they saw the signs and stuff. But here's the catch: you don't necessarily have to run. Even though I said sometimes discuss with authorities or something like that, authority figures like maybe parents or something. You could also just start being a friend of that person. Most of the people that are doing that are lonely. They have other things going on. If you can show them a better life than what they're thinking they have and planning, a lot of times they will drop their plans. There's other ways to get people out of funks. Depression is one of
Show
the
'em
biggest
some
things we
kindness.
focus. Yeah, we focus on depression on this show a lot. One of the biggest things you can do is show people that life's not as bad as it seems. And when you get depressed and you get down, you're willing to do almost anything sometimes. Sometimes you can be that key in that light that makes them think in a different direction. So if you see somebody, this guy's a little unhinged, go talk to him. Don't bring up that he's unhinged. Just show them there are
Be
good
his friend.
people there. Right. Show them that people are there. I missed quite a few comments I want to go back to. Bill said, I've always been told two things: better be caught with it than without it, and better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Okay, that's actually, I like that statement, actually.
That's a good
Better
one.
to be judged by 12 than carried by 6. I like that a lot. And great point, Drina. You have to wait 90 days to be hired into a new job. Why not a 90-day wait for guns?
Thank
What
you.
exactly?
She went,
I mean, you're not threatening people's lives with a new job unless you're going to Burger King or something. Other than that,
Right.
you're not threatening people's lives. And that's the point. And I think that anybody on either side of the gun law doesn't have a problem with that.
Then why are we doing it?
Exactly. But
I
it's
wouldn't
again
mind
politicized.
waiting, a little while
Yeah.
to make sure that I'm sound to own that.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, you tell me I'm not sound, I might want a gun more. But moving on. Steve says that he bought a handgun last year at a dealer in less than 1 hour.
That's
And he
insane.
did have a federal background check, but that still doesn't necessarily matter if you're unhinged. Steve, I don't think you're
That's not
unhinged.
going to come up in that might not come up in a background check.
That's what I mean. Certain things won't.
Yeah.
But the fact that he could do it in an hour,
That's insane.
I can't get my prescription in an hour.
No.
Danny says again, human welfare is nothing but a money profit when it comes to mental illness. That's sadly true, and that's why we're hoping that channels like ours and other people out there can change. That there's more to do than just make money. Danny says quite a few things. I've seen addicts use mental illness just to get their hands on things legally. They don't really. I see that all the time, especially around here. They don't really do deep processes to prescribe, which is dangerous, and sometimes can be the use of manic attack, like a random shooting or kill. Also true. But you have to address them both. Where do you start? Do you start with the mental illness? Do you start with the guns? Do you start them both? Or do you just keep arguing it back and forth so in 20 years we're having the same discussion?
That's what's probably going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Last thing she says is, I've sadly always thought that loners, which all these serial killers get movies and fame, and they believe that's the way to get noticed and leave a legend, and sad. There's some people you can't discuss and talk to because they are in that, they're so down, but it was a much more rare occurrence. It didn't happen as often. And Steve says, by the way, about his gun, he hadn't even fired it yet because he wanted to get a training class. Good for you, Steve.
That's awesome.
See, that's what I'm doing. I have fired mine, but I'm also doing training. So
I absolutely agree with that 100%. And, you take somebody like Steve. Steve wants to own a gun. Say, I don't know Steve here, and he just wants to own a gun. Well, first comment, okay, so Steve's a gun nut. He likes guns. I can go that route right there. But now I see that Steve wants to get a training class. People who have this kind of initiative, those are the people you trust. They want to do it properly. They want to do it right. So any waiting period, any background check should be okay because you want to own it for the right reasons. I applaud you,
And
Steve.
I would like to
Congratulations.
see a required safety training class too.
Absolutely.
No,
And
I think that will
especially-
help with a lot of accidental
Mhm.
deaths and things, because that happens too many times. Kids end up getting killed, shot, killed, because the parents didn't follow gun safety. They didn't put their gun in a safe where it should have been.
Took me a long time to find the ammo. That's the wait. Just couldn't find the ammo. But you're right. I do think safety is important, and I think a lot of people, if you ever talk to them, even Anthony, I think doesn't realize he has more people on his side on this. I think he
I
feels
don't
left out,
think
but it's
we
pretty
are
even.
all so.
I mean, I don't.
It's nuanced. It's a nuanced thing. There's
I
all
don't
different
think I
kinds
have a
of
radical
positions.
view. I know my view isn't super radical.
And it
because
isn't.
I'm fine with having people needing to take training. I firmly believe that if you own a gun and you have kids that are of a certain age, old enough to understand that, they need to be taught firearm safety. Right? Teach your
Yep.
kids firearm safety. Teach them that is not a toy, that is not something to play with, because you have oftentimes with the kids that accidentally shoot themselves, they go, "Ooh, what's this? I don't even know what this is." Right?
Yep.
But if
Yeah.
mom and dad take them and say, "Look, this is a pistol, this is a shotgun, this is a rifle, this is how you safely, you don't do this, you never, and teach them," then they're going to know, okay, that's what that is, it's not a big deal. It
I
doesn't
know there
become
used to
this,
be-
ooh, it's, something I don't get to see ever or play with.
Yeah. There
it's-
used to be some schools that did that. Like they would have training courses,
yeah,
like that would train them like in school.
like
I
for hunter safety and stuff like that.
Mhm,
I think
yeah.
they go over all of the basics and that.
Steve said, no, it's not the only reason, but it's different and find it very expensive. No, I know. I was just messing with you, Steve. I know about the ammo. Danny says she can't own a gun. I'm scared of guns. And I'm that person who would end up getting shot if someone broke into my house. It's just common sense with the person you are. Know that person you are and try to know who other people are, too. Sometimes it can be very helpful in doing things right and saving lives that way. But
Well,
we all, again, want similar things. Most people are on the middle of the aisle. They don't want guns freely, and they don't want them abolished. They just want to know that the person that has that gun is not going to kill them or a bunch of people.
Yeah. The biggest pushback from most of the people that don't want anything is the fact that why is the government regulating and saying what I can and cannot do in the regards to firearms, right?
Because
that's
people
the
are
argument
dying.
I hear all the time, right? Well, yeah, but
And
people
I think
die
the
from
thing
other
is-
things, and it's not really, it doesn't really get regulated the way that they talk about regulating guns, right?
Right.
So I get that, but they have the argument where the Second Amendment was to defend against a tyrannical government, and they see that, whether it be right or wrong, they see that as if the government is telling me I can't own this gun, that's why I need to have a gun.
But
Right?
they,
And that's
yeah.
the mentality of a lot of the people that are on that side, right? The government's
really
is.
getting in the way because they want to take over and they want to control me.
right.
Right, and then if you look in the past, when you do have these, the government takes away guns, we'll take care of you, and you see what's happened in the past, it also is kind of a, slippery slope. When you disarm
it's
an
that
entire
catch
population,
22.
right?
Enjoy, Steve. And it is a
It's
catch-22.
it's the catch 22. It being concerned about your safety and then scared to own a gun. It's like, okay, well, the government will help me, but then you see what, as Anthony was saying, you see how that plays out, and it's like, what did I just do? It's such a hard topic, and anyways, I'm gonna get off my soapbox.
No, you're totally. It is a hard topic, and that's what's.
It is.
That's why people got to discuss it. They have to understand.
And there needs to be more research on really There really needs to be a lot more research.
Absolutely.
Well, back when the Second Amendment was written, we didn't have the situations that we have now, and so the whole part about rewriting it, the idea is a good idea, but the actually doing it gets very complicated
Yeah.
because then you put so much power in the hands of people that are either for you or they're against you.
That's true. That's really true. And people don't look beyond it. Again, if government or anybody steps in the way of anything, do some research on that shit. Somebody's got an agenda somewhere. Whether it's just promoting them or not. Seriously. I don't know when we got into the world that the government is trusted on one side or the other, because I've never trusted government. Nobody ever has.
No, you should.
And now suddenly everybody does.
But there's also the other side. You can't not trust them whatsoever either. You
No,
don't
but
want
I mean, if they're railing against something very hard or for something very
Yeah.
hard, there's an agenda present.
it's always good to look into that. Yeah.
And it's always good to look into that. We didn't actually cover a lot of the topics we were going to in this because we really went off a little of the mask and the guns, which is good. Yeah, it's random. We never know how long something's going to take. We had a lot of engagement on these topics, so definitely, again, this show's about our chat and the people out there. So if they're engaging and they want to talk about this too, we're going to keep talking with it about them. But thank you, everybody who did, of course, participate in this. All right, on our Sunday Open Forum, instead of the final words we do usually on our topic shows, we're going to do a little segment at the very end called Past Life, and all it's going to be unrelated to the show, just words of advice about life. And this one we're talking about right now. If you're one of those people out there, I saw a post today that reflected something I do. A lot of us think we're comedians out there, and we make fun of everybody we can, and we joke, and all our friends laugh, and that person laughs all the time. And we forget one crucial thing, that it's not as funny to the person we're constantly joking with and making fun of, even though they're laughing every single time, even though they're hurting inside. Never forget when you're that humorous clown or that humorous people to take time to let people know you actually love them and appreciate having them around. It's very important for everybody out there. You may think it's a joke, and because they're always laughing, you think they get it. You think they're part of it, and yeah, this is all good. They know I love them because I fuck with them. No, they don't. A lot of times doing stuff like that is what can lead people to more depression and feeling like people don't like them and they're just somebody's whipping boy or, somebody to take advantage of. So always remember, if you're going to tease people and you're going to be that clown that makes everybody laugh, make sure you take time to make sure that the butt of your jokes knows how much they actually mean to you before something goes wrong. And that is our show tonight. I want to thank everybody on the panel. This was a very good discussion. That's Elena, Bill. She's engaged.
I'm engaged.
You've met her before. You've already asked this. All right. So thank you, everybody, for being on this panel tonight. It was a good open forum, very engaging. I enjoyed talking to everybody here. Anthony, you were a little more quiet than usual. Remember, Anthony, though, we want to hear your voice. You cannot have good conversation without opposition.
Well, sometimes I just like to listen.
You do, but when you listen, you create your own thoughts, and the fact that people don't share their thoughts on that is why people get sided in discussions. They don't actually see the other points of view, which is really important. So always, and everybody out there too, no matter what we're talking, don't be afraid to share your thoughts. That's discussion, and talking about situations is the most important thing we can do as a people in a society, is to understand one another. And maybe see a point of view where they're coming from, and maybe convince us that maybe we didn't look at it that way either, whoever you happen to be talking with. It's important. But Anthony, you did give a lot of good advice and a lot of good things you said. You did get the topic rolling a bit. I appreciate that. Always love having you here. You are kind of our staple for the open forum, and I love it.
Thanks for having me, Keith.
No problem. Then Danny says, by the way, that Elena is too young for Bill, and Bill says that just leaves Danny. Yeah, we're matchmakers on here.
I'm surprised it took so long for him to make a comment.
Hey, he was. Hey, do not condemn his good behavior. We like that. Dude, my agenda was get a paintball gun. How fun to run away from my house after trying to break in all colorful, totally unexpected. Paintball's fun. I like that. I do. I love paintball. Elena.
Hurts, man.
hurts,
It hurts too.
It hurts.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That shit can leave bruises.
Elena, great having you on here. It's nice to have you. You know how to talk. You know how to discuss. You know how to get points across. I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
And you do it with a nice smile, and you can't get better than that. Thank you, Elena.
Try my best.
Sheena, good to have you and your pussy back. I was like,
He had to get in at the last second.
yeah, who is that guy anyway?
That's P-Man. He's my old man. He's the
Aw,
old one.
well, he's
gonna be
adorable.
He's gonna be 17 on the 1st.
Well,
Oh,
Wow.
He's an old boy.
Well, he's
I've
going to
had
be
it since he was
17
a
because you give him a
baby.
great life. So he's
And lots
enjoying
of
it. He
loves.
obviously loves you to death. So good job on that. And Sheena, we love having you on here too. We've missed you. You haven't been able to make a lot of the shows. I'm glad your career is getting better and things are working out better for you lately because I know you're going through a little down period for a bit. And I'm glad things are getting better in Texas too. Aside from the mask mandate, you went through hell this winter. The state did. And I think you froze on me, so Texas froze again. Look at that. All right. So, and Millie, of course, the lovely, the bright, the shiny, the cheery Millie. So glad you could join us on here tonight. You were great for this discussion. You know how much I love having you on here. So thank you again for being here.
thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Don't forget while you're here to like, share, subscribe, and follow to Ear Shoulder Voice on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and probably something I missed on there. Or go to earshouldervoice.com, view all our live shows, sign up to be a guest panelist. Remember, open forum's all about you. But just because you can call into the show and you can chat during the show, don't forget you can also chat absolutely anytime you want to. So if you're having a problem or you got something you're dealing with or you want someone to talk to and there's nobody out there, you can go to our website and chat with us even if we're not doing a broadcast or show. We'll talk to you about it. Go to Messenger on our website and you can do it anonymously or with your name, or go to their Facebook page. You can also chat with us about anything. We're there to help you, to talk you through something. We're not necessarily going to give you life-saving advice, but we will give you somebody to listen. And a lot of people just strive for something like that. Our next topic on Wednesday is the art of being alone when friends and family have gone. It's all about pretty much when you've lost everybody around you and you feel alone. You wonder, is it worth continuing your existence? And a lot of people, more than you know, go through that. And frankly, I'm one of them. And we're going to be talking about that on Wednesday's show. There is no open forum next Sunday, so I want everybody to have a very happy Easter because that will be the next open forum we have. Thank you all for being here. Thank you very much for the chat and everyone on the panel. We will see you all later on Ear Shoulder Voice. You all have a great night. Bye.
You too, cute.
Bye.
Hey guys, Keith Lippin here for Ear Shoulder Voice. While you're here, why don't you like, share, subscribe, and follow so you can be notified of all our new broadcasts that we're bringing to you live every week and live chat during the show. You can also head on over to www.earshouldervoice.com, find out more information, suggest topics you'd like to see our panel discuss, and even apply to be a guest panelist yourself. This is a good show, everybody.
it's fun.
That
Yeah.
was really good. We went a little deeper than I thought, and I like that. I like that you don't know what we're going to get on there, whether it's going to be jump topic or we're going to just flow with one for a while. But people get passionate, and it's nice to have people, especially in the chat and stuff, that just they're open-minded, and I love that. By the way, Bill says, Elena, your new name is Red Plaid.
Oh, thanks.
All right. You're going to fuck them over when you wear a different shirt. I'll tell you what it is, Elena. That zipper's way too far down, and Bill's just like, oh, my God.
It's not even far down.
For Bill, it is. I was like,
There you go. It's much more appropriate.
There we go.
that was good. So glad you made it. Sheena left us, but Sheena was tired, I think. But no, it's a good show, everybody. I like it. We never know. It's a lot of fun. So thank you for that. Everybody have fun? You're all
yeah.
still
Yeah.
quiet.
That's why I just was like, wing it, because you never know what you're gonna end up.
That's the
Anyway,
joy of
that's
it, though.
what
Yeah.
mine.
Usually we try to come up with some things. I didn't actually. I told Anthony I was going to get really deep on this show with a personal
Yeah.
experience, and I didn't even get to it because we got so much in there, and I didn't get to the TV show ending or anything. We were just like totally. we were focused. I thought we were going to be able to move faster through gun laws, so I was going to be able to hit one or two more things. But that took the next half.
Yeah, there's so many different
Well, those
aspects
are-
to it, I feel. You
Those
know.
are topics that you can't really just go.
Glide
How do you feel
by.
about this? Okay, bye.
Yeah, but usually, well, just like we did with the first half, though, you can pull it away from it still. You can, move the topic on a little bit and go back to it briefly and then get back on there. But I didn't know actually what your gun law argument was, so I was excited to find out what it was about. So that was good. And we've never actually talked about that, so it's something new. Unfortunately, though, I hate to say this to everybody, they are having issues at my work, and I'm going to have to cut this show short because I've got to call and find out what's going on.
Do you need me to go handle it?
Actually, you know how to get the system working. It might help.
Yeah.
Because you'll be there before me. I'll call them, though.
I can
But
be there.
thank you, everybody, for being here. You guys were awesome.
Thank you, Keith.